Hello and welcome to another edition of the program Monday Nights with Monique. My name is Monique and I'm so happy for this edition because we will be talking about domestic violence and the church. Yeah, I said the church. Is she here to talk about pastors? And if yes, we are here to talk about pastors. We're here to talk about domestic violence that's happening in your home. We're here to talk about those things that you will not want to talk about. That's what this program is about. We focus on issues that you shy away from, issues you like to throw under the carpet, okay? That is why we are here. And of course, I have wonderful guests that will be introducing themselves on the show. So, hey, remember to subscribe. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your post notification as well as comment, share, like. I would really, really appreciate this. So I say thank you, a very big thank you to all those of you who shared my link and who liked and commented on our last episode. It was amazing. And we will be having a bumper package today. All right, you welcome back, and I would like us to meet our important guest. We're going to be talking about it's going to be a heated up conversation. Can we please meet you first off?
My name is Ohis.
Just so there's much more to this guy that he doesn't want to say.
That's all.
Okay, we'll find out on the show. All right, please let's get to hear from you.
My name is Chichi.
Esquire.
Barrister.
My name is Chichi.
Esquire.
Oh God, please leave me alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about domestic violence and the church. We're going to be laying it bare as it is. A lot of people are covering things, and I find that really, really disturbing. Talking about this domestic violence thing, I would say it started back in time. Back in the day, our father's time. But people keep saying that marriages of the past lasted longer than this present day marriage. And I'm like, how? And I saw a comment somewhere, or will I say a post somewhere that says that marriages of the past lasted longer because our women refused to speak. It was a normal thing for them to be quiet, but that is why you see so many broken, will I say, women right now, because their mothers refused to tell them how it was back then in marriages. They just made us feel that it was all good and rosy. But right now, so many hiccups, so many hiccups. And that is why I would like us to start from the foundation of these things. How does this whole domestic thing start? We need to go back to the foundation, right? Yeah. So let's get to hear from you. There's this thing called submission.
Mm.
Because in my head, I actually feel that people are misinterpreting submission. I don't know, but let's get to find out from Mr. But they'll say the ladies first. Let's hear from you, Chichi. Submission. This thing called submission. What would you define it as? Because maybe your definition might be different from mine. I want to understand. Let's understand this.
Okay, submission, in my own understanding, is having to totally commit and first recognize that there is a head, and then work together, work hand in hand with the head to ensure peaceful coincidence in a place. For example, when you have the head of state and deputy head of state, the deputy head of state is assisting the head of state. He doesn't necessarily need to submit to the head of state. But as the Bible has said it, in the home, there is the man who is the head and the wife who is his helper. The Bible instructs that the wife submits to the. It means that in the home, the man is the leader. But for him to lead, he needs the help of the wife. Now, but I think that some people have taken submission to mean slavery.
Mm.
So in some cases, we have is not a submitter. What we have is a master servant relationship,
Okay.
and that's not what the Bible intended.
Okay.
So submission is allowing the head to lead and taking after him.
Mm.
It means that as partners in the home, we can't have one person take decision. We take decisions together. It means that we consider the situation we have together, just like you have in a board meeting, and you have partners. When an issue comes in a board meeting, all directors, all the stakeholders put head together, then the leader now decides, okay, this is the way to go.
Mm.
But usually, from what I've been hearing or what I've observed, is that we have someone um just force decisions,
Mm.
and then you have to follow whether you like it or not. Like they say in maybe the military,
Mm.
obey first,
Mm.
ask questions later.
Wow. Mr. Ohis.
Well, just say his Mister.
Ohis.
We were colleagues for a long time. So, well, I think in so many situations, submission has been misconstrued, misunderstood. That's because men take it too far, especially in Nigeria or in Africa. Well, I live in Nigeria. Let me say what I'm very sure of. Um, and when I say men, me inclusive,
Mm.
yeah, the truth is that sometimes we go by this notion that if you give a woman 1 mile, she takes a kilometer.
Ah.
So you have to always make sure that you're on the lookout for when a woman maybe goes out of line
So don't you think
in
we
that
would
regard.
okay.
But I think um, men are guilty in the sense that the subservience has actually um, been taken too far,
Mm.
has exceeded its limits. It's difficult to now understand what submission really is. So
Mm.
many people, when they do something, they refer to the Bible. Everybody becomes biblical.
Mm.
Everybody now wants to, of course, follow the tenets of the Bible to the letter. That's when they think that they are doing something right and they want the Bible to support their views and
Mm,
actions.
mm,
So I think that we bastardize our knowledge or we overemphasize, overestablish facts according to biblical submissions
Mm.
and all of that. But yeah, submission in this context, when it refers to domestic abuse, has been over exaggerated. And that's because men now take it to mean that women are worse than slaves.
Mm.
It goes without saying that women have suffered a great deal in the hands of men, and vice versa. Of course,
Mm.
men have also been on the wrong end of this abuse. And domestic abuse has to do with emotion, mental, psychological as well. So I think it has evolved to the extent that people are now dying. People
Mm.
have been dying for a long time, but it is only when a popular person, of course,
Mm-hmm.
is extinguished,
Mm.
unfortunately,
And
dies
like
on
every
time,
other
they
person
then
starts coming out to speak up.
that triggers a whole lot of opinions and people who have bottled things up in their
Yeah.
hearts become bold enough or emboldened to
Mm.
speak up. And the Osinachi situation has also empowered a lot of
Yeah.
women to come out, a lot
Yeah.
of men as well, to
Mm.
come out and speak their minds, what they have gone through, what they are currently going through, and what they don't want to pass through anymore.
All right. Now, talking about the angle of Osinachi's case, like I said, this thing has been happening in the past, but nobody's talking about it until, like he said, a celebrity came out. I mean, a celebrity died, and right now everybody is talking about it. What do you think is actually triggering these things? Because there must be a trigger somewhere. Is it that why do we just wake up and all of a sudden we don't agree? Where did we get it wrong? There's something you mentioned about the man, it's like when you give a woman a mile, you should take an extra
Mm,
mile,
mm,
right? I want to talk about that one right
yeah.
now. Don't you think that is like controlling the person? And you can't control a human being. I mean, you can only think of how you can manage these people. You get. So can you expatiate more on that one so we understand?
Yeah, men naturally are abusers of power.
So is it okay?
So
So is it okay now for men to abuse it? Naturally, we should be
it
used to
was a
that.
man that
Then
quoted that nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. So men, of course, are default abusers of power, but women, they tend to overdo things. Yeah, I'm seated in between two women, in the middle of
You
two
need
women.
to
So
really be careful
I
when you
think,
finish your
yeah,
statement.
I
So I'm waiting for
am.
you.
Yeah, I am. Without fear of favor,
Mm.
I say it that women abuse power, and that's the extent to which men want to reassure themselves that they are in control. And you see, um, marriage is not a bed of roses.
Mm.
Yeah, people, especially people who flaunt it on social media, that's to make themselves happy,
Mm.
right? Everybody's
Just cloud
suffering
chasing.
in one way or the other, right? We all have challenges, we all have inhibitions. There are roadblocks, stumbling blocks in marriage. It might be your children, it might be about favoritism, it might be about the woman not being able to cook, it might be about the man not being financially buoyant enough. So many things all rolled into one. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, some people don't know how to overcome misunderstandings because those are obstacles to
Mm.
happiness. Yeah, and the fulfillment in marriage is that you have to understand more than anything else. I think understanding is basically the key to a successful marriage. And saying I love my husband on social media or I love my wife
Just
on social
socially
media does
thing.
not translate to marital success. And marital bliss is about understanding one another, knowing when one another might be wrong,
Mm.
and trying to imagine a situation where you can overlook the wrongdoing
Mm.
of your partner, as the case may be. So, marriage, I think, is the most difficult aspect of our lives.
All right, Chichi, different,
Controversial. No, no
different, no, different
controversial.
from what he,
Okay.
different from what he just said because you were uneasy with something he said earlier.
That's not all. That's just a part of it. Now,
Mm.
now when he was talking, I was quiet because I wanted to observe and take out the points of what he was saying. Now,
Mm.
the essence of every discussion is not just that we're coming to battle words.
Mm.
We're also coming to
To
learn.
learn,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and I've been itching to hear from different men, and I've heard from a lot of people. What stunned me about what he was saying was saying that men may be to retain control. Why do
Mm.
you need to control a human being?
No,
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
sure you
Allow
got that
no,
right.
allow me. Hold on. I
Okay,
heard you well.
okay,
Why do you think you need to control a human being?
okay.
Mm.
Now, Monique, I'm in my 30s.
Mm.
I grew up under my parents, and when I got to the age of maturity, my dad was very, very smart enough, sensible enough to call me and say, "You're old enough now, and there are things that I can't make certain decisions for you.
Mm.
You get to make decisions on your own." Now, when I graduated, he said, "I'm done. I've done my bits. Yes, you've graduated. There are things you need to do for yourself." It means that he can't bait me
Is
again.
it graduate from university or secondary school? Okay.
University,
Okay.
he can't bait me again. He won't probably be feeding me in my mouth. Do you understand? Why is there a need to control a human being? So that's the point. Most men feel that when they marry a woman, that they should assume control over her.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
a very wrong mentality to have. You
Okay.
shouldn't control anybody, even your siblings.
Mm.
When somebody attains the age of maturity, according to the Constitution, the Young Persons Act, and even the Bible, the person is old enough to take his or her decisions and stand by it. That is what happens when you go and pay bride price and you feel that the person is now under your care. You
Mm.
can use cane
Came to because I paid,
to
so I
yes
have
to
the right to.
physically discipline the person. We are raising now. We're raising monsters who feel that some women are like goats
Mm.
and rams and cows, that you need to use stick. You need to use some sort of bottle. I've seen all manner of videos this period. I'm shaken to my spirit. I am so scared, if not that I know myself.
Okay.
I grew up under if I grew up under parents who were disciplinarians, but I will tell you, not once did my dad lay a hand on me.
Like.
So people think that to discipline a child in this time and age or a person, you must have to cane the person and cane the child. Or is that is so wrong? Monique, that is the longest. I'm saying I have a son who's about 10-year old, and God bear me witness. In the past 1 year, I don't think I've beating him, not because um he not because he's totally compliant, no, but there are other forms of discipline. And that took me, because I was doing it wrongly, I had to go and learn.
Okay.
This, I struggled so much with parenting in the early ages because I wanted to do it the way I was raised. The way I was raised. And I realized that these children now, you can't do it the way we are raised. Now, why we're having these problems, Monique, is that the people we have now, the men we have now, the women we have now, are a direct offshoot of the people who our parents raised years ago.
Right.
Some of us say our mothers, they were being beaten and they were staying. Yes, they were being beaten and they were staying. Now, the people they raised.
Yeah.
Look at it's a circle.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do we want to continue or do we want to look at where we are, the millennial we are now, and say, how do I do it better?
Yeah.
It is in asking myself, how do I do it better, that I went in search of courses that empowered me as a woman, as a parent.
Okay.
These days, nobody prepares to be a parent. We just pregnant somebody,
stumble into
automatically you are a parent.
So it's like a child taking care of a child now.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I struggled with parenting because I had a child who was strong-willed. And no matter how I beat him, no matter how I tried to correct him, it wasn't working. I had to go on a course, pay for courses, go learn from people who had done it better. And I said, I remember attending a course and I'd mentioned her name in the course of the, and I said, how did you do it? You raised the boy. And I'm looking at this boy. He's one of the best in England. Now he's a Nigerian. She brought him up there. It was the same thing with what had been taught in a course in the US. And I said, God, there must be something these people are doing what I'm not doing. So our mentality tells us that you must beat for it to correct.
Control.
The woman you beat the first day, you have to keep beating her to get her to a level of compliance and submission.
Wow.
And that woman is not a wife again. She's a servant. She's a slave. Because you're beating her like a goat. It's only goats, sheep, ram, dogs that you beat like that. You don't beat human beings.
All right, nice. Just to be clear,
he couldn't wait to just respond to that.
Just to be clear, Chichi, you misinterpreted me. I did not say that a man must control a woman, but control is what a man sees as a response to the overstepping of bounds by a woman. Yes.
Stepping of bounds. So what's the best way to correct that?
Asserting control is how best a man thinks he can respond to that and effectively contain a woman's excesses.
Are you in the military barrack? Why do you need
Listen,
control?
women can be overbearing.
Men cannot be.
You are interjecting. And I didn't. I tried as much as possible to listen rather than talk, because I have also learned a few things. Yes, and keep your emotions in check.
My emotions are in check, but I will not let you say something.
So, truth of the matter is that if I don't understand something, I rather ask than assume. So, at this point, it's important to understand that we probably are on the same side because we're not happy with the current situation, current circumstances. I have sisters.
Good.
Yes. I am sure a cousin of mine may watch this afterwards. At some point, years ago, I went to her husband's house and beat the man up. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, you're also a...
so it got to that point, right?
And to correct
my
him,
family members are unaware of this. So this is probably the first time they're going to know.
All right.
That
but did it work?
Because it was... Well, it worked.
Good.
Because he never attempted it again, and he knows me. Of course, let's not talk about the other side of me. He knows me that if I was going to return to that house, then the outcome may have been very different. So at this point in time, you see, I am not saying it here because I am a saint. I can tell you that yes, I have beaten a woman before, once or twice or even 3 times. Yes. Prior to me sitting here and maybe bashing men that beat women. I'm not doing it from a stance of being saintly. No, I'm doing it from a stance of seeing that when you do something wrong, you can correct it.
Okay.
Instead of continuing in the wrong.
I like that.
Right? Yeah. There are people who say, I haven't done it before. Of course not. Please. I have done it before.
Okay.
I have been in relationships.
Thanks
and
for
it has
being
gotten
truthful
to the
today.
extent where I have had to
correct or
beat up a woman
okay.
or
Thank,
women, as the case may be.
oh my God, thank you.
So at this point, it is important to understand that you do not really know where you are going to hit a woman. First of all, it is wrong to even beat a woman.
Are you saying it's not planned?
Sometimes these are
But
involuntary
it's just,
actions.
But
okay, so
You don't write it in your diary
Okay,
and say,
but-
I'm going to beat up
Wait,
this woman
Ohis,
today.
wait,
Okay.
sorry. Don't
Or
you
you take it
think
in your
that
calendar.
it has been somewhere in, you've thought about
It's
it.
ingrained
It's
in
been
your mind.
there somewhere, somehow. And
No,
said,
no.
If this one
no.
doing, because
women,
it can't just pop
first
up
of
like
all,
that.
women are very mouthy.
Oh,
It doesn't even have women can push you beyond the limit.
Because
Okay.
so if you know,
Monique, can I
Yeah.
say
Okay,
something?
please.
Can I say something? I really love Ohis honesty.
Thank you.
I like
Yeah.
his honesty. I wish that moment would come
Come out,
and
just be
this honest.
vulnerable, and
I
then
just want to say
yeah.
that I have met men who were raised in very, very, and I'm saying this because my husband is going to be watching, very, very unlikely, very, very ugly circumstances. But I have so much respect for the women that trained that brought up these men such a way that there is self-control in them that they will never hit a woman. I have so many. If you're a man and you're listening to me and you fall in this category, I have so much respect for you. I honor you. I love you. I wish you come out and be an example, not just to our children, not just to the boys we raised today, but to everyone. My husband will not raise a hand, a finger. And this is me just saying, early years we got married, because if you know me, I'm really very, very,
Tough, just tough.
Yeah. I'm outspoken. You won't do something to me, and I'll just, I will try my best, but I would speak out. I would not, So if you hear that somebody beats me, you really need to. I don't fight because I don't know how to. I didn't learn how to fight. I'm girly, but
You got the mouth.
yes.
You finish with the mouth.
Yes, I'm who doesn't have? I mean, if you don't have strength, you have to have one.
Some have more than
mouth.
others.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And so while we were married, something happened. I can't even go into the details, but I remember my husband saying, "You're not going." We got a free visa and ticket to go somewhere, and he was working, and I just heard him say he doesn't like free things. He's not going. He's going to pay for me to go on a trip. I was like, who wants you to pay? I want to go for this free one. And he just kept saying, no, you're not going. This is me. It was just a few months in our marriage. I wasn't used to someone telling me,
no,
don't go here.
Yeah.
Don't go. I wake up, I dress up.
You do what you want to do.
I go where I want
Yeah.
to go. I had a job. This is me. I was working even before we met. And so I was earning my money. So nobody taught me. My dad didn't teach me that, you get to a point where
they'll tell you no, you can't do it like this anymore.
He didn't say it like that. Do you
Okay.
understand? We stumbled into it like that.
Mm.
And so my husband just said, no, he doesn't like free things. And he's that kind of person. He's maintained it till now. He's not really, really, because, it's people who are greedy at times that fall into fraudsters. He says, you know what? When I have the money, we'll go on vacations, we'll go where we want to do, and that's it. I don't want this one. I can say, this thing that I want, you want me to just leave it? They gave me choice of countries to pick. If you are not going, no problem. Me, I want to go. And then it became so tough. And then he just said, if you're going, I'm not supporting you and all that. I didn't need money. I just needed to work out. But I was married already, and I also didn't want to. And it got physical. When I mean it got physical, I held him and said, you know what? Today, I want to see. Guess what? My husband just tried to struggle out of my grip. And he walked away. So I waited 1 hour. It was not. I was like, the fight has finished. Come back now. By then I was no longer angry. Come back. He didn't come back, and then he waited for a while to when he knew I was probably asleep, and just walked in. I respect for him. Since that day, I didn't do it again. That was the last. Because he would not respond to that kind. Imagine that he had to hit me. Then we now begin to, I now have a ground to hold him. He hits me, and then it has started. And so I celebrate men like that who have that kind of control. As much as I agree that not all men can do that, there's a level you will push a man to that he would. I just want to say that the correct thing should not be hitting.
Hitting, exactly.
The
Walk
correct thing
away.
should not be hitting. When Ohis was talking, I was careful to note where he said women are abusers of power. That's your opinion.
That's
Now,
what I've experienced.
in my experience as a grown-up person, people who take power refuse to relinquish it or give it up are men, because power intoxicates.
Yeah.
Women are not, they're not people who, a woman can stylishly hold power. Claudia stylish, she wouldn't let you know that she's the one behind the scene doing other things. I don't know, she's the one insisting and holding things. But a man will come out to your face and say, see,
Yeah.
yes, it is me, and I'm not giving you.
They want examples.
Hold on. We can see that in the present dispensations
Yeah.
that we have had
Okay.
to go through. People who hold political powers, government offices, and at the end of their tenure, they don't even
They
know.
don't. Yeah.
How many women do you see do that?
Yeah.
It is men. Now, women don't abuse power in the house. It is men who want to show total control. You want to show that I am the man. When I say you should take it hook, line, and sinker. What if we run our homes as if it's a board, a company, and then your opinions are valid, my opinions are valid, and then we come to a conclusion?
Exactly.
Some homes are run like a company.
I don't want. I mean, it's very possible, but you'll see that then same things happen. I've seen young men who are. Why don't men hit their female bosses at work?
They do.
Oh, hold on, I've not seen any.
Are you?
Some
I've
do.
never heard
Hold
that.
on.
You
Never.
don't read
I
enough.
see.
No,
I
And
know.
you probably
Excuse
don't watch
me.
enough. Some
I
do.
See, I see a lot of men
Wow.
get beaten in bus stops by conductors and drivers,
Yes.
and I don't see them fight like the way they would hit the woman at home.
How many times have you seen a
You
man not
you
fight back?
yourself just said some minutes ago that you had cause to go to your cousin's place
Yes.
and beat him up.
And beat her
Why?
husband up.
Did your cousin not come back to your place and beat you up too?
No, I don't think. That's why I said you have to understand the things I say before you
That's what
respond.
Okay.
I said my cousin's husband.
Mhm.
I went to his house
Yes.
to ensure that he doesn't beat up my cousin again.
Yeah. What?
So, do you see, Chichi? The truth of the matter is, we are not here to lambast men. We are here to speak the truth to the best of our knowledge and understanding. Women are abusers of power. That's my opinion because I have seen it. Women have been my bosses. Some have been good, some have been terrible. Yeah, and thanks to a woman, and where I am today, because my best ever boss has been a woman. So I say it everywhere, and may God bless you, Madam Rosita Adunchezo, if you are going to ever watch this video. She was my boss at FHI 360, and she's my best ever line manager, best ever supervisor. So, but women are abusers of power. That doesn't say that women deserve to be beaten or clobbered or battered, but women are abusers of power. Whether they abuse power more than men is an entirely different argument.
Please always say it that is your opinion.
No, of
Okay.
course I am talking.
You
So
will be
I am
trying to
not
indicate
saying
that is
I
his
am not
opinion.
saying it is from any world statistic.
It's your view.
It is from my mouth. So
Yes.
people should know that it is me, Ohis Eboreme, talking.
I totally
right, so-
disagree.
Okay, we've been going back and forth on this. Now let's go into something else. The angle of the church
Okay.
and domestic violence. We've been talking about that of the home. What's happening? What's triggering this and that? The church in this. The church is in a tight corner right now. Pastors are in a tight corner as we speak because of, will I say, the counseling or the advice they give to married, to couples. You understand? So what do we have to say about the church when it comes to domestic violence? Do you think that the church has actually helped? Pastors have actually helped? Because it's like so many people are going to church, but with mask on their faces, just like the case of Osinachi right now. A lot was happening in her home, but it's like people didn't really know. It was until she died and we started hearing people coming out to say, oh, she has been this. Why did anybody come out to say, you know what, if you don't know what to do, I think we need to talk about this issue. You get she was actually independent. She was helping the home.
Let
You-
me say let me say something. When you say people didn't really know, I think that is very relative. It depends on which people.
Which people?
People around her knew. Some people close to her knew. But my maybe nobody had the temerity or the boldness or the courage to pull out that woman by herself, and which is something that is very rare. You can't pull out someone who doesn't
Who
want to be
doesn't?
pulled
Yeah,
out.
right.
So in her case is a different case. Let's go back to the question.
The
church and
yeah.
the role of the church in this. Now, I do not hold a brief for the church. I'm also a Christian at and and this is not to batter pastors and religious leaders and all that. But prior to now, I used to hold this view that the church hasn't really done well when it comes to how they counsel um, victims of domestic violence, physical, emotional abuse recipients, and what they've told them. Because I've had to hear, there are a couple of times I've heard, go back and pray. Go and pray he changes. Have you done? Are you sure you're doing the right thing? Are you giving him food? Are you having sex with him? Are you dressing for him? Those are not the questions to ask. While those are basic questions that you can ask to know exactly where it is, when a woman is being battered, the best advice giver is not to tell her to go back. It is not. It doesn't work anything because you might just be sending her back into her grave.
Why
Tell me.
don't you think they're trying to be careful? Like they're trying to follow what the word said, the Bible.
What does the Bible say?
Because, okay, we're not talking about divorce.
Yes.
You get
Submission.
submit. So it's like no matter what he does, just submit. Just like that's why I'm still saying submission. This thing called submission. Don't you think
I
we've
have a
misinterpreted
different,
it?
and like I said, I'm not your regular person. I've had to have an issue. When we're getting married, there was this comment they told us that you don't bring third parties inside, and I think that is gradually waning away because people began to see the misconception in that particular advice. So when someone is going through things, just like Sinachi's case, she feels it's a sin to call somebody into to intervene. I don't think that's a very good one. So while we're getting married, we also heard that, but we're privileged to have people who says you need to choose mentors who you have to have. If you're a young girl and you're planning to get married and you're getting married to a man who doesn't listen to anybody, that's a red flag. So at some points very early in our marriage, our lead pastors told us that you have to look up to someone who is doing well in marriage and who you like their food, and it has to be someone who both of you listen to, at least to an extent, because when it's not only the man that derails in marriage, sometimes the women. And sometimes when your wife is going she's just not heeding to advice, there has to be somebody you can call other than her parents or her people that can call her to order, can look at the situation and say, oh, this woman, what she's saying is not actually bad. You probably need to look at it very well. So those are things that we need to, and we've had cause to be mentored by people who are 20 years, 30 years in marriage that are doing well, and I've come to look at these things and say, not involving third party is not good. Sometimes you need to involve a third party, And so that's position of the church before. I don't know. It probably needs to change. It's not. I've seen pastors come out now and say, no. If you're being beaten or if you're being if you're a victim of domestic violence in your house, it's not the right thing to go back and pray. Recently, if you notice,
because I was going to say, don't you think it's a recent they started saying this
I want
thing?
to even say something.
Because they weren't saying all these
Monique,
things.
I used to listen to a woman who used to be all the submit to your husband. Make sure, are you wearing him the night? If he beats you, go back.
Oh, I think I know the woman you're talking about. Oh,
No,
it was all over
I'm
social
not,
media.
It's not me. I'm not saying anybody's name. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing another part from her. So I'm saying, see, speak from one side of your mouth. What exactly is your position? Let it not be that because the death of this musician has made you change your mind.
Every
So
person now is
sometimes
coming
you
out.
make some women who are going through stuff feel like they've not done anything. The women that are telling you, I have done all, even where they are breadwinners, they're saying, I've done this, mama. I even submit my salary to him. But then he beats me at the slightest opportunity. What do? The best thing is not to tell her to go back. And I'm privileged to work with pastors or no pastors who are also very practical. Monique, I told you that I was talking to a pastor recently, and she said that there are cases where the victims, she saw that they were almost dying, and they were,
Mm.
she didn't like, and she said, don't you think it would be nice for you to just step out for a while, so that while the issues are being resolved, he doesn't hit you again and all that?
Because it's too toxic.
Yes. And the person steps out, and when somehow they get to reconcile later, and she hears that, oh, it's the pastor that asked me to go out.
Yeah.
So you turn around and you blame the pastor, and what do you want the pastor to do?
Exactly.
So we need to be careful how we point hands and fingers. That is not to exonerate the church. Sometimes the church is indeed guilty in what he has said. This verse that says God hates divorce.
Divorce,
Sometimes
yeah.
we read it out of context. I think we need to go back, look at it. Somebody, I mean, jokingly, somebody was saying that when Paul was saying God hates divorce, that he wasn't talking to Africans. That he was talking to the Thessalonians, the Colossians, the Ephesians, saying, now overdo Africans. Now
Where
you
did
carry
that
the
one come
Bible."
from? Hey, Ohis, we need to hear your take on this thing. Seriously,
Yeah.
you be quiet.
Yes.
You be
Well,
quiet.
until I'm granted
Please,
permission.
you need to.
Well, truth of the matter is that I always say that churches are a neighborhood of them. Um, a pastor, for instance, will advise a couple or a would-be couple
Mm.
not to involve or allow third party without considering himself or herself as third party.
Oh,
Mm,
wow.
That's-
Shot fire.
Right?
yeah,
Ouch.
that's really.
So, third party, you are not third party. You are also part of our marriage, right?
Mm,
Yeah. So when you're advising me, you're telling me don't involve third party, but when there's a problem, come to me. You're also third
You're third
party
party.
for crying the bucket. So, it is important to realize when an advice is inimical, when an advice is against your growth and development. The fact that the advice is coming from someone elderly or someone seemingly
who's
more
pious.
experienced does not mean that that advice is good for you,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
They always say an advice most needed is least heeded. But sometimes an advice most needed might not be given at that point in time. So we have to weigh situations as practically as we must,
Okay.
because practical solutions are the most important steps that we must look at. In the case of Osinachi, it took Paul Eneche, Dr. Pastor Paul Eneche, to come out. I don't think he has ever done that. But his name was being dragged in the mud,
Yeah.
and he thought it necessary,
To come out and say
appropriate,
something. Of course.
important
He did the right thing, actually.
to defend himself
Mhm.
and his church, because Dunamis, of course, they have so many followers, and the congregation is always big and all of that. So I think that no matter what Eneche has said, we also have to look at the man and the woman, right? If it is true that the man was also bringing his children into the beating,
Yeah.
then this is obviously out of order. It is something that should be seriously looked into and adequately dealt with. So, third party, no third party. If I trust someone enough, because nowadays it is very difficult to even tell people or share your problems with people.
Yeah.
99% will laugh, the other 1% will look away. So, I just think that if you trust someone enough to share your problems, marital or whatever else it is, with someone, if you trust someone enough to share your problems with, then you have to also expect that the person is going to give you a practical solution, something that you can immediately take into consideration, and it will help you out of the current situation you find yourself. But marriage is a complicated situation. Nobody is really experienced enough to advise you on what you are currently passing through if the person is not passing through it or hasn't passed through it, right? People just suggest, give pieces of advice, and maybe some they have read off books and they have seen of shows or pastoral sermons, whatever it is. But I just think that this experience is the best teacher is also subjective, right? So contextually, we're looking at a situation where if you have a marital problem and you cannot sort it out yourself, then if you involve a third party, be sure that that third party is worthy enough to sort it out. don't just tell anybody.
Mm.
And if the third party, sometimes the third party will compound your woe by giving you a wrong advice,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And if you take someone's advice, kindly do not blame the person, because the person did not force you to take the advice. There was no coercion of any
Yeah.
sort.
Yeah.
So it was exclusively and ultimately your decision
To
to
stay.
take the advice
Yeah.
into consideration and take it hook, line, and sinker. So if I say enter that fire, I am not the reason why you got burnt.
You had a choice. You had a choice. That what you're
Right?
saying, like.
Exactly. You have a choice. So if I say that cannot get break, but you feel manage them.
But
If
Ohis,
you
wait.
die in an accident, it's not
Okay,
me.
but wait.
I'm
Ohis,
not the reason why you died.
Wait, why I have to interrupt you here? I want to
So-
understand better, because people with reverence, like the pastors and all those people in church, leaders and all, we believe that at least if they're not good enough, why would you put yourself under them for them to lead?
Okay,
I want to
let
say
me ask
something.
you a
I want
So
question.
if such a person comes to me, just like this pastor now,
Yes.
she went to the pastor and said, "Look at what I'm experiencing."
Monique, I have
And then wait, I'm coming. And then I said, "Okay, let me follow what he said."
Mm.
And this happened.
Okay.
I
Let
want-
me
I
ask
want
you a
to say
question.
something. I
So
want to
okay, there are some very sorry. There are some very important men of God who are divorcees now. Right? Okay. So if they advise you on marriage, what will you say? You know, say, no.
They'll say,
What
there's
will you say?
some people will say, "Physician,
You
cure
haven't
thyself."
okay.
You haven't cleaned up your own
You
mess.
haven't
But that
removed
doesn't
the
mean
log
for
from
me,
your eyes. But
that
that
doesn't
is
mean that person is not
permits
good
me-
enough to
do you
still help
understand?
you.
Exactly. But
permits
you
me
get
to say
but somebody
something.
will say this thing that has happened in your house that you couldn't handle, but that doesn't mean that the person cannot give you
Can I say something before I lose
Let's
my,
hear it.
my
Let's
train
hear
of
it. Let's
thoughts?
hear it,
And
Chichi.
that's because a lot of things have been said, and we need to be, a while like what you said before, we're not here to banter words and all that. We need to be careful the kind of words we say, because words are powerful.
Yeah.
We need to be really careful. When you say the marriage is completed, which marriage are you talking about?
marriage in
Hold on.
reference to whatever is happening in society at the moment.
Now,
For me,
this is also
that's why
because
it is my
there are a lot of
opinion.
single people who are listening to this, and
Of course.
I don't want you to be discouraged.
It is
Yeah,
their choice.
Now, some marriages are complicated.
Yeah, not all. Not
Some
all.
marriages
I agree to that.
have issues. But I beg to say, and I say this with joy in my heart, marriage is beautiful if done with the right person. That's why you have a lot of work to do before the marriage. A lot of times, including myself, there are things that I find out that maybe I should have done before. There are questions I should have asked that I didn't ask. And trust me, I saw consequences. I had to now ask myself, will I live with this or can we change it? So for everyone trying to go into marriage, you should have something called deal breakers. What's your deal breaker?
When is it okay to step out?
Yes.
Okay.
When is the point? Like I told him before the show, I said once I do like this, just know that.
Yeah.
So they are deal breakers, and I had that conversation before I got in, because you see me, Monique, I like my life.
Yeah.
So we sat down and we talked about it, and just before I said, if anything, because I'm not used to Cain anyway. Everyone knows me to be very fearful. I fear Cain. I don't know what it's like to have been flogged ever in my life. So I said, if he ever gets to the point where slap or anything,
Step out.
I leave. For some other people, it could be infidelity.
When is your breaking point? When is it okay
For
to say I'm
some other
done?
people, it could be this, it could be that. What is you need to write that down and have that. Don't carry somebody's own. No, look inwards and ask yourself. Marriage is not that complicated, but you need to be ready for it. You need to take necessary steps to ask the right questions. Now, jokingly, somebody said the other time, if somebody's coming to marry my sister, I need to ask, do you beat sometimes? When you get as hand they do you, when they verse, how they do it? Do you slap? Do you knock? They push you, say, do you take something? As joking as unserious as that, we need to start
asking those questions.
because, like he said, Osinachi's husband had to even involve. Do you know the
children
manner of damage that has been done on those children?
Yeah.
Stripped their mom naked, tied her up, and asked the children to. I just pray and hope that never happens to anyone in this life. So you see, we're not dealing with normal people. We're dealing there are monsters out there, and what their belief of marriage is not your belief. It's not my belief. So to get to the root of this, we need to start. I want to just say that in Osinachi's matter, I do not blame the church.
Okay. Okay.
I do not blame the church. The church can only attend to what it knows.
Okay.
However, there are people that were around her that I feel that would have. That is why, as a woman, I think, even as a man, aside from having family, relatives, you should have support groups. You should have a community of people, like you said. Who can you call and say, I'm going through, and what can the person do?
Not those kind of support groups that come in form of clubs,
No.
buying ashwebi, doing meetings.
If your support group can't help you
Positively.
from a problem to a solution, it's not a support group. And I'm not talking about giving you money. I'm talking about counsel, advice. But like he said, there was something he said that touched me, and he said that when someone gives you an advice and you take your decisions based on advice, you don't blame the person. I agree. I totally agree. That it goes back to the point where I said that when people are mature at 18, 21, you're old enough to take certain decisions yourself, and you are responsible for the decisions. You stand by the consequences. Don't say my pastor asked me to do that. My pastor, nobody's going to hear that.
Blames. Everybody just want to look for blame.
In law,
blame game. Come on.
Now in law, there's something we call influence some people have over people. You use people like a teacher and a student, a pastor and a pupil, a doctor and his patient. Some people will have some overpowering kind of influence on some people, such that when they tell them, and that's how you see some people just carry on. They just told me, we see it all over social media. Pastors say, lie down, and I'll step on you so that the thing, and you see them lie down. That's your decision.
You've been manipulated, hypnotized. That's just all I have to say.
So the reason why we are educated, the reason why we
straightforward,
the reason why we have a brain is that God has given you a brain to think.
Process.
So when I come to someone for counsel, I'm going through this, and you give me, I say, okay, let me go and think about it.
You wait up, like wear the whole thing, not just swallow.
You're not the one going through what I'm going through. It's my shoes, it's my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm going to give account of what I do, I'm also going to bear the consequences. I shouldn't turn back and say it's my pastor that asked me. No. And so, like I was saying before, one of the pastors told me that because of what over time, people have said that she asked me to leave. She broke my marriage broke because of the marriage, the advice she gave. They decided to just stay back, and now they ask you, what do you want to do?
Exactly.
So that the decision is yours. If you're being beaten, you're being battered, abused in the house, and you say, I want to go back and pray again.
What do you want?
I stand by you. I'll pray with you.
Yeah.
You're going back there to be beaten and you pray after it. I'll be praying with you.
We need to wrap up right now. Ohis, we need to conclude this. In conclusion, what do you have to say? When do you think it's the breaking point for you, as a man? Like, I can't do this no more. You get? Or when do you think,
as a man or as a woman? Both ways.
I'm talking from your own. She's spoken from her.
Yeah.
From the women angle.
Okay. As a man, that I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
When do you think it's okay for a man to say, you know what, I'm done. This is my breaking point. I cannot anymore.
It depends on the man. Some people have short fuse. Some people know how to cope.
Tolerance level.
They understand. Some people are extremely tolerant. They understand. Okay. So it is absolutely dependent on the individual. So I am not here to say, to me, now, when something happens, run. It's entirely your decision to make. But by and large, it is wrong to hit a woman. That is clearly wrong. In every whatever, there's no way you can twist it. It is wrong to hit a woman. If you have done it before, or you insist on doing it, it is totally wrong. And I think there should be consequences for actions of this magnitude. If you hit a woman, there's something that must happen to you. But it is wrong to hit a woman. It happens everywhere, but that doesn't make it right.
All right, thank you so much. It's been an interesting conversation so far. Really heated up, I don't know what you think about this. Remember, at the end of the day, you are the one in charge of your life. At the end of the day, it's your decision. Okay, going about blaming pastors, blaming church. I think we should stop this blame game thing. All right, whatever you decide at the end of the day, you are in charge of your destiny. Okay, so I want this conversation to continue on our comment section. I would advise that you just drop a comment. Okay, remember to subscribe, remember to drop a comment, remember to share, like. Okay, and yes, do all you can. Push the link. We really, really appreciate it because people need to hear the truth of what people are not actually talking about. That's what this program is about. Okay, it's been Monday night with Monique, coming your way again next week, Monday at 8 p.m. All right, follow my social media handles at Monique D Vibe. Okay, and a very big thank you to our partners, our sponsors, Idisi Telecoms. Thank you so much. Thank you to Squarehead for this lovely place. Thank you to Soto Inc., the man behind the camera. We really appreciate you guys a whole lot. Okay, so if you want your advert to be part of what we're doing, it's very simple. Send me an email, all right?